You set this rule yourself, deliberately, with every intention of keeping it. And then you broke it. Again. This isn't a character flaw. It's not laziness. It's the gap between intention and action. And it has a name.
On Sunday, I set a limit. 2 hours. Hard cap. On Monday, I broke it 3 times.
4 times.
4 times. I didn't count the last one.
Brian is a maximizer. He doesn't just set goals, he builds control systems, spreadsheets, reminders, apps, and still breaks the rule.
I have a theory. Willpower is a finite resource.
That's not a theory. That's Baumeister.
That's what I was going to say.
I deleted it Friday, reinstalled Saturday, deleted again Sunday. Final answer. Reinstalled Monday because I needed to check one thing.
How long did that one thing take?
40 minutes. Don't look at me like that.
What you just saw is called the intention-action gap. Peter Gollwitzer studied this for 30 years. His finding? The problem isn't lack of motivation. The problem is that motivation is a terrible tool against habit. When Brian hit ignore at 10:47 p.m., he had the motivation not to. It wasn't enough. Because willpower was already at 0. This isn't weakness. This is physiology.
That explains Monday.
That explains the last 3 weeks.
Technique 1. Implementation intention, the if-then plan. Gollwitzer found that people who form a specific plan, if X happens, I will do Y, follow through 2 to 3 times more often than people who just try harder. The brain doesn't decide. The trigger fires, the response follows. Automatically.
I wrote 7.
1 is enough. A specific one.
I kept all 7.
I wrote 1. If I reach for my phone, I go to Bolt.
Bolt approves. Technique 2. Temptation bundling from Katy Milkman's research. The idea. What you want to do, only together with what you have to do. Favorite podcast, only while cleaning. Show you love, only on the treadmill. Good coffee, only at your desk in the morning. The phone stops being an escape. It becomes a reward for action.
I listen to productivity podcasts when I run.
Exactly.
I also listen to them at dinner, in the shower, and before bed.
That's not temptation bundling. That's just podcasts.
Noted.
I only clean when I play music I've been wanting to hear. No music, no cleaning.
That's temptation bundling. Welcome. Technique 3. Commitment device. An external obstacle you build for yourself in advance, before willpower is required. Odysseus knew he wouldn't resist the sirens, so he had himself tied to the mast before he could hear them. Not because he was weak, because he was smart. Deleting an app is not a commitment device, because you can get it back in 20 seconds.
14 seconds.
A real commitment device creates actual friction. Phone in another room. Charger not next to the bed. App on the second screen inside a folder called Not Here. Something that takes effort, not one tap.
I moved the charger to the hallway.
I asked Bolt to lie on my phone in the evenings.
Brilliant. Willpower is a resource. It depletes. That's not your fault. That's biology. Every time you break your own rule, you're using willpower as a tool against a system. The system wins almost every time. You can't beat the system. You can build a better one. Brian chose one trigger. It's been working since Monday. Phone at dinner, 0 times. Spark wrote one. It works. Bolt has never broken his own rules. He doesn't have rules. He has a routine. See the difference? Is there a rule you keep breaking? Tell me in the comments which one, and write your if-then plan. Let's see what happens. Worksheet is in the description. My rules plus my plan sheet. Free. Brian filled out 7 lines. He laminated it